event that will take place in the next couple of days, and that would really pull the rug from under this regime.
Well, it's not just him, is it? Because one of the reasons, presumably, why he is still there is that he's used a lot of those assets to enrich a lot of people around him. And those people have significant vested interests in maintaining this status quo. So even though we've seen a handful of major defections from his close aides, there must still be a very large number of people who'd rather things didn't change.
I agree with you. And by the way, these are not just Libyans. There are also a lot of foreign nationals, foreign companies, all the people who stand to who have been benefiting from Gaddafi and this regime. Many of them are probably also pushed for a delay in a response, have lobbied to try to reconfigure and repackage this regime and find a way to eliminate the possibility of him leaving too quickly. Should they also feel that he's no longer useful for them, in my humble view, no one that is benefiting from this regime will even express any interest in seeing him around anymore.
All right, Tarek Youssef, thank you for talking to us.
Pleasure.
Now, as we've been talking about the international response, there are continuing moves in that regard. Now the UN's top human rights group may recommend suspending Libya. At a meeting on Friday, the Human Rights Council will also discuss whether they should send a team to Libya to investigate allegations of human rights violations. The crisis is also on the UN Security Council's agenda. That meets again later on Thursday. Scott Heidler is at the United Nations headquarters in New York for us and joins us now live. Scott, let's start with the Security Council for a moment, if we could. They have already issued a statement. What else have they to discuss?
Yeah, well, the Security Council, right now, we've been speaking with some of the missions for the members of the Security Council, some of the permanent 5 members, actually. And what we've been hearing is that they want to do more. They said that the press statement that came out on Tuesday, and that was the first action by the Security Council, by the United Nations, on the violence in Libya, they want to do more. That's specifically what one of these missions told us. And what it sounds like they're asking for right now, they're not confirming this, is that there's discussion between the missions about a potential resolution draft, but it's not to that stage yet, they said. But what we're looking at in the near future is potentially Friday or Saturday, an emergency session of the Security Council, another session of the Security Council, where they are looking to invite the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to brief that session, and then thus maybe out of that they can start a discussion over a draft resolution. And there's really kind of a unified voice from the Security Council members that they want to do more than that press statement that came out on Tuesday. And several missions that we spoke with said that all options are on the table. They wouldn't get specific as to what all those options are, but they're entertaining as many possibilities at this stage, Taimur.
All right, well, if the Security Council is building up ahead of steam, if we can put it that way, it seems as if the Human Rights Council situation is perhaps not quite so unanimous.
No, and that they will meet on Friday in Geneva, and there's a draft resolution that will do a couple of things. First is an investigation team to be sent down into Libya to investigate violations of international human rights laws. That's one point. The second point is to start the process of removing Libya from that council itself. They are part of it. That will actually have to go in front of the General Assembly here at the United Nations. Majority vote needs to be taken to actually kick Libya off the Human Rights Council, which is historic because it's the first time that a member of that council is actually the subject of a meeting and potentially a resolution to be passed. But looking at that resolution, there is still some negotiation over the wording of the resolution that calls for Libya to be kicked off the council, as well as an investigation team to be sent down to Libya. So we know that they're still haggling over some of the wording in that, and that's just hours away in Geneva on Friday morning.
But this suggestion that Libya might allow in a UN Human Rights Council to investigate seems a little bit far-fetched, doesn't it?
It does seem far-fetched. I think maybe at this stage it probably will be more symbolic. It's not as though there's going to be a team boarding a plane, Friday evening after, if and when this resolution is passed in Geneva, arriving Friday evening in Libya. What most likely will happen is they'll have to ask for some volunteers or draw some experts to be put together, to put the team together to go down and investigate. So we might, be looking at several days, and thus maybe we're hearing, in the eastern part of Libya that it's not under Muammar Gaddafi's control anymore, so they might be able to enter on that side. There are a couple of different ways of looking at it, but also when Secretary General Ban Ki-moon yesterday talked about sending experts to the region, refugee experts and other types. They might not necessarily go into Libya immediately. They might stage in neighboring countries, talk to people who are coming out, and then as soon as there's an opportunity, enter into Libya and start their investigations and work. All right,
Scott Heidler, live in New York. Thanks, Scott. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, as Libya's oil production shuts down, the U.S. says it's adamant that the markets will still stabilize. We'll take a closer look at the situation in a moment. Also, what's next for the WikiLeaks founder? Julian Assange has lost the first stage of his court battle against extradition to Sweden.
As the clouds roll in across the Mediterranean, you'll still find it easy to drift away.
Welcome back. In India, we are seeing some rainy conditions down to the south, but not as rainy as they were in the beginning of the week. We saw some heavy showers down to the south, but those are now beginning to push down to the southwest. Still some clouds, though, anywhere up from up to Nagpur, up to also to Calcutta. That will stay in the forecast, but that's just some clouds. That's not going to bring any rain showers with it. Colombo, Sri Lanka, looking very nice over the next couple of days. But where we are going to be seeing a lot of rain is towards Mozambique, especially to the northern parts of Mozambique. Very heavy rain showers are going to be a problem. Now, we have seen 100 millimeters over the last couple of days. We have seen 20,000 people displaced because of the floodwaters in the river basins. And as you can see on the forecast map, very heavy rain showers are going to be the problem. A little bit further to the south, also some rain showers for Johannesburg as well as Durban. Cape Town not looking too bad at 28 degrees for them, but still very rainy over towards Madagascar, where they have seen quite a bit of rain from their last cyclone. Over towards the Arabian Peninsula, warmer temperatures. Look at this. Doha is going to be expecting 28 degrees. Riyadh at 32 degrees, and those temperatures are only going to be going up as we go into the next couple of days. Baghdad, though, 28 degrees in their forecast. Very warm temperatures coming up from the south. Normally 20 degrees for them.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
As geeks take on dictators, bloggers turn dissidents, and social networks root for social justice, governments are going cyber, spying on their citizens, erecting firewalls like Iron Curtains, and closing down websites. We ask, is cyber-generated change virtual or real? Empire at this time on Al Jazeera.
Hello again, you're watching Al Jazeera. Let's just recap the latest headlines from Libya. In a phone call to the state television station, Muammar Gaddafi has blamed Osama bin Laden for the uprising in his country. He said the al-Qaeda leader has been manipulating his people and said the protesters have been acting under the influence of drugs. The top human rights official in France has said there's evidence to